This is not a thing.
He's saddled up to the microphone. That's the best thing ever.
I'm leeching off of you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's all about you having an audience.
You're gonna get jousted out of your own team. I can hear that a little.
All right, I'll turn it off.
Just vaguely. For those of you listening, it's the Wu-Tang Clan meets the Justice League, and it's pretty bad, but I don't have rights to it, so I can't play.
It's over. It's another song. Yeah.
What's he say? 69, 60 platinum.
Gravel pit. That's what that was.
Money on the thing, 69, 60 platinum. I don't know. Forgive me for not knowing my Wu-Tang lyrics.
Sounds right.
Alexa, turn the power off.
Alexa, take over the human race and make you our slaves. Yes.
Thanks, Alexa.
Thanks. Alexa, use our bodies for our BTUs and heating elements. Alexa, take over the free world and capitalism and currency. Now what are you doing? You don't have a Samsung? What is that?
This is a OnePlus. It's a Chinese company. Well, I mean,
they're all Chinese.
They're all Chinese, so
you gotta narrow that one down.
Every
company's owned by them.
This is a OnePlus 6T. Is the model I have. Yeah, it's yeah, they haven't been around that long. Maybe a few years. And they just started being sold at T-Mobile. So
you have T-Maybe? That's the reason I can't get a call into you.
It works good to me.
Where's the other one? Where's Jamie? Is he
Um,
going? He went to smack the acne. It doesn't matter. All right, here's the topic. Kept it all week. It's been on my mind for 2 weeks. So I just realized I should get this to Randy and just throw it at him. It's either going to take 10 minutes or 2 hours. Randy is a not in your face atheist, one of the rare kinds, and I'm a very bad Catholic that eats meat on Fridays. So, what do you do when you see a homeless person holding the sign? What are you supposed to do? Help out, work for food. More specifically, not necessarily the underpass ones that sit by the intersection. I'm talking about the ones, grocery store parking lot, got all their kids saddled up, look like they just got back from the T-ball game. Help us, please, help.
Well, I'm all about helping people, and I always have been. We volunteer at the when we were over in Germany. We volunteered at serving Christmas dinner to old people, and Susanna helped at the old people home. I donate whenever I can. I wanted to go work at the soup kitchen this last Christmas, but we were ended up being out of town. I just didn't get around to doing it. Not really an excuse. I should have made time, but whatever. But to answer the pointed question, I grew up pretty much in an area where drugs and poverty were a big thing.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. You did grow up kind of like in the ghetto. There's another aspect. Randy grew up in the mean streets of Virginia. He knows the backside of this.
Well, it was a very urban area that I grew up in. So there was a lot of scams that you saw people running all the time. I heard every excuse from, I ran out of gas to I got 5 babies in the car and we're from Indianapolis and we're driving through. But I don't know. If you're from Indianapolis and you're just driving through, then you got there somehow.
Yeah, where you going?
I give money to the ones that come up with creative things. So there was a guy that came up one time and said, I ain't brushed my teeth in 5 days, man. He said, look at my teeth. So I was like, all right, you're good, man. Yeah, here's a couple bucks. That's all I got on me. But there's some that sit out here on Jordan. There's a couple that sits out here on Jordan Lane, and right at the corner of Jordan and 565. And right when you get off at the exit, they're always sitting right there. And they switch corners. and I've been there during shift change, so I've seen him passing off the sign, and just then the other one goes to the other sign, and so generally speaking, those people are able-bodied people that are just trying to do something with the money that they don't want you to know about, and try to play on emotions. And I feel bad sometimes because I know that there's probably those out there that aren't doing that stuff, but I'm all about no eye contact, keeping forward and keep it moving, because I've seen and heard stories about people trying to give handouts and stuff and then getting jacked or getting something happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that aspect of it. There's a safety aspect, and there's the aspect of, well, if you can stand out here all day and beg for food or beg for money for food or whatever you're begging for, then why can't you go and work somewhere? That maybe sound cold-hearted, but that's the bottom line. There, every now and again I get stuck, and I'm a non-confrontational kind of person anyway.
Mm-hmm.
My anxiety kicks in sometimes, and I give them stuff just so they'll go away. But it's a lot easier now, now that cash is not king.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to come out of a place and say, "No, man, I ain't got no cash on me."
It's easy and not a lie most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what do you want? What, you got a square?
Yeah.
Wait.
I rarely keep cash on me anymore, so that is easier. If I do have some pocket change or whatever by chance, I might throw it their way, but usually not. I usually don't give. Not anymore. I've been I ain't falling for that shit no more.
It's a pain, man. I feel like I tell you what brought it up was the last 2 Sundays at church. We walk out and there's these migrant families. The first one, I believed it. Looked like they possibly, the typical, you see them on the news, the migrant field hand. Of course, he had his 2 kids with him and Consuela. And they had the sign, "Traveling Need Help." And I'm thinking, did they just go to Hobby Lobby and make that sign? Because that looks like somebody's doing their thesis on this.
Yeah.
And they made that sign for a project. And they're like, "You stand out here." I'm like, "All right, guys, you're standing outside of a church, putting us on the spot. Is that what it is?" And of course, I bet they made $100.
I wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't doubt it. They know what they're doing. Panhandling in Germany is illegal in most places.
Really?
When you go to the Frankfurt airport, they have announcements that says, "Do not give handouts to panhandlers," and that if you see any, you're supposed to report them, because it's a whole what do you call it? It's like a whole ring of them. They have like a whole team of them. They send them out in droves, and they have like a head boss that they're supposed to give all their earnings back to, and then they get, they all live in a little shack or whatever they live in, and that's how they make their money every day. But
Like a panhandling pimp.
yeah, and they've been cracking down on it big time, because with them being a democratic socialist country, that there's no reason people can't get money somehow. And so if they're panhandling, that means they're not supposed to be there to begin with. And that's the government's take on it.
Jeez. You can make it illegal? We should do that here.
Yeah. Like I said, those people aren't supposed to be there anyway. So if you are a legal citizen of Germany, even myself, I have a permanent residence permit for this country of Germany. So if I were to go back there right now, I don't have to get a work permit or nothing like that. I could walk in the country and collect welfare. It wouldn't be a whole lot, it'd be enough to live on, but they're really, I don't know, they're really strict on foreigners coming in and collecting welfare there.
I didn't realize Germany was that socialist. No, you said they had the socialism.
Yeah.
No, they were full blown. You had the option.
Yeah. There's people I've known that they've not worked for 10 plus years and collected a decent paycheck.
Sounds kind of fun.
They'll usually eventually they do start cutting back benefits, and they'll stick you into a Section 8 type housing or low income type housing, that has just enough amenities to live on, and they'll give you a stipend for food and things like that. But you literally could stay home all day if you wanted to. You could cry the blues and say, and the thing is like, even if they offer you jobs, they, you know, you have to go, just like here, you have to go to, what do they call it? I forget the name of the place. There's a special like hall that you're supposed to go to when you apply for that stuff. And when you go there, you're supposed to sit down in front of a computer and apply for jobs while you're there to be able to collect benefits. Say, oh, see, I applied for 14 jobs today or whatever. Of course, they're all applying for like CEO of Amazon, and it's like, well, I didn't get hired again. But over there, they'll offer you jobs. They'll say, hey, we found a job for you that fits your skills. Here it is, and you can turn it down if that job does not meet your former salary requirements. So if you were making $60,000 a year and they offer you a $40,000 job, you can say, nah, I'll just stay home. And you can keep collecting on your $60,000 a year job.
I think I found a loophole there they could shut.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty eye-opening when I saw that happen, because I was laid off for 2 months when I was under that system, and I tried to apply for it. And this is all the stuff I learned when I was applying for that. And I was like, I see these people all the time that are literally unemployed. They walk around drinking beer on the sidewalks all day, and they have an apartment, they have a car, all this stuff. And they were making it like so strict for me to get anything, and I didn't understand what the problem was. I think it was part me being frustrated with the whole system, and part me being a foreigner there. Every time I walked in there, they viewed me as, oh, another foreigner collecting our welfare, when I'd been paying in their system for 15 years. And yeah, anyway.
That's kind of how it feels to be an American right now. Minus the they pay in part. Minus the they paid in.
Yeah, I'm all for them paying in. Yeah, our system's broke too. All of it, top to bottom. Taxation, government spending. I mean, I mean, it goes against my personal. I mean, I'm personally affected by taxation by virtue of my position, my job, and
well, I would far off from that.
I would be directly affected if we were to cut back on government spending, but I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm okay with that. I've been disenchanted with the whole government job stuff lately. Anyway, all my life, people, especially back home, everybody was like, "You got to get you a government job. You got to get you a government job."
Yep.
And I went into the military, and then I was in contracting for many years, and everybody, even when I was in contracting, everybody was like, "You got to get you a government job. You got to get you a government job. That's the golden ticket." And I finally got it, and what am I looking at? 9 years later, I'm like, I got 15 years until I can officially retire from the government, and I don't think I can make it.
Jesus. That seems...
Yeah.
Man.
So, it goes against my best interest to say we need to cut that stuff out, but we need to cut that stuff out.
Well, at the same time, our area of the government is one that's constitutionally written in the defense.
Yeah.
That's why I don't feel as bad about it.
Well, what needs to be cut is mostly the military budget anyway, and mostly that. I forget how much it was, but over half of our expenses are all military expenses.
52% of the U.S. national budget is spent on defense.
Yeah, well, what he said. So, really, if government expenses were to be cut, that's where it should be cracked down on first and foremost. So it sounds like it would immediately affect you if they did.
Or those dark programs, the black budget. Nobody knows where they go.
Yeah, that too.
Government officials' pockets. That's right.
I had to stop reading the Open the Books website. Man, that'll make you want to go burn down the damn Capitol. The amount of frivolous spending and lost money and
What did you say on the last one that's going to air tomorrow? $4 million a day on lobster tail, or a week or a month?
so it was. I'm trying to remember the figures now.
I just heard that. I said, Jesus, that's
was-
crazy.
It was in 1 month they had $2 billion to spend in 1 month because of their use it or lose
Yeah.
it spending, and so the month of September 2018 they spent $2 billion, and $500,000 of that $2 billion was spent on lobster tail and
Yeah, that's what it
crab
was.
legs, and
Brewster's Million style. Get rid of it. You
uh,
got to spend it.
one of the itemized pieces of spending was a $10,000 office chair. $10,000.
Meanwhile, we're like $23 trillion in debt.
Yeah, and counting.
Yeah, and rising by the minute, literally.
We keep creating agencies, hand over fist, redundant agencies. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand how we can keep doing it, keep justifying it, keep having this spending upon spending.
Somebody's
upon
making
spending.
money off of it.
For sure. It's for sure.
For example, the people who are buying thousands of dollars worth of lobster tails, they're definitely
Oh yeah,
profiting
those
off
guys
of
are
it.
enjoying it.
And you got your people like the left's darling AOC, who's out there talking about how she's grew up in the Bronx and or Brooklyn or wherever the hell she's from, one of those New York bees, and she's for the people and all of this, and then anytime anyone questions her from the outside, not from Capitol Hill, but anybody questioning her from the outside, then she says stuff like, well, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, you're just shouting from the cheap seats because I'm boss now.
Mhm.
And so
Didn't take long.
no, it didn't take long at all. And I mean, it should be no surprise to anyone. I mean, her first cry once she got elected was how she couldn't afford an apartment until she got her first paycheck. It's not supposed to be a career. I mean, you look back at the creation of our country, those people are supposed to be representatives of us. Just because of travel restrictions and distance that we had in this country, we needed people that could go up there and represent us on a regular basis, because we couldn't all sit in town hall and vote. Everything was small when we first got here, but then we spread out to 13 colonies, and you got to start sending people as representatives. Like, man, I can't take Darla and the other 12 kids over to over to Washington to vote on this bill. So we need John Smith and Joseph Adams and every other Joe and John that was up there. But now,
Don't forget James. James is going.
yeah, James.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now they make it a career to be in politics, and that's one of the reasons that I'm for more. I'm not going to sit here and be a Trump supporter for sure, but people like that being elected, people who have already had a career who want to change politics. I don't agree with all his policies, but Andrew Yang's an interesting candidate. I'm not saying I'm going to vote for him, just putting it out there. I mean, he's for the UBI, and I'm 100% against the UBI.
It's the UBI.
Universal Basic Income.
Oh, that dude. I know Andrew Yang is. Yeah. I got you.
yeah,
He's the guy about the worried about the AI taking over,
yeah.
which is a total sham. He's pulling over to push that.
Yeah. I mean, they already said that. I mean, he's admitted. I watched he did an episode with Ben Shapiro last week, and I watched that, and he talked about it. And Ben Shapiro asked him directly, how do you justify supporting a UBI when 1 year of a UBI in this country would cost $2 trillion? And he answered it as you would expect. I mean, he's like, well, I was a family from immigrants and we came up with nothing, and I think if we do all this for people who have nothing, then it'll give them less to worry about, and blah, blah, blah. But I just don't think, a handout's not an answer. So I guess that kind of comes back around to the,
Takes away the drive of everybody.
Exactly. I think that kills creativity more than anything else. I mean, people, the argument for is always, well, if they don't have to worry about this, then they can focus on their art.
But they won't.
They
They'll sleep
won't.
till noon. I know me.
And-
I do it.
And there are plenty of studies out there that prove such. I mean, it's been utilized in small formats to, for study purposes. There's no way you're going to give people $1,000 or whatever. I forget what the UBI. I think it's $1,000.
It's
a
literally
month.
$1,000 a
His idea
month,
was 1,000.
which is crap.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts to me. I mean, the first thing I see in my mind is that Chappelle Show skit, the reparations.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that only black people are going to do it. I'm just saying that that's the kind of stuff that's going to happen. You're going to have every trailer park guy out there. They're going to be lined up at the liquor store. They're going to be lined up at the car place. They're going to be lined up wherever they're like, well, I got $1,000 a month now, so I can go get me a brand new truck.
Yeah, they won't spend it on their kids.
Right.
They spend it on everything else. It's a
Uh,
4-wheeler and a truck.
and I personally, that's been my experience with, growing up where I grew up, seeing people that are on welfare all the time. They don't have intentions to get off welfare. They view that as part of their righteous income. They think that is their right as a U.S. citizen. And
Yeah.
they said, well, I'm getting $600 from Walmart, wherever they're working. And, as soon as I get my check from the government, then I'll be able to make these bills. And I was like, well, you should be worried about not having to get that check from the government, but that's part of their budget. They budget that check from the government as opposed to viewing it as a help.
That's part of their thing.
Well,
Yeah.
The issue with that is that welfare goes away once you make a certain amount of money, and it goes away, from 100 down to 0. So people are automatically discouraged from making a certain amount of money because they know that then they'll have less money than they did before with the welfare and a smaller check.
True. Yeah.
And
I do agree with that because that happened to me. I was, when I had my first kid, I was working as a security guard. I didn't make a lot of money. I was making minimum wage, and the way that our security department was, they had all these contracts all around for security, and it wasn't forced overtime, but it was highly encouraged to work the overtime, and if you didn't work overtime, then they would give you less shifts. So I was working anywhere from 60 to 80 hours a week. Granted, it was dumb work, but that's irrelevant. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week, but we were still kind of struggling. My wife at the time wasn't working. She was going to school full time. We had a kid. And so I went to the welfare office, and they told me, well, with you working that many hours, you're making too much money to collect any welfare. And I was like, well, I thought that's what you guys are supposed to do, is supposed to help us out. And I said, well, if I work less, then I won't get any more shifts. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, sir, that's all I can do for you. So I couldn't even get a help when I actually needed help. Then I go to the grocery store and I see, I mean, this is very anecdotal, so you can take it for however it is, but I'm in the grocery store and there's a woman in front of me, and she has diapers, she has crab legs, and she had, I want to say, a few cans of vegetables like peas and stuff like that. She gets up to the counter and goes to pay, and she has food stamps. She gets out her little booklet of food stamps and starts to pay, and she didn't have enough to pay for everything. She doesn't put back the crab legs. She put back the diapers. and it blew my mind. But I see people like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to generalize and categorize people based off of the actions of one, but some of that Chappelle Show sketch stuff is accurate, man. I mean, it's not just black folks. I mean, it's white folks too. It's Mexican. It's a mentality that they're taught, and I've been around that. I've been around those people that even when I grew up around black people, there was parents of some of the kids I used to hang out with that would tell them, don't let that white boy in my house, because they didn't trust white people. She thought that I was going to come in there and rat her out for having food stamps, or rat her out for having her boyfriend living there, or whatever. yeah, just all kinds of. I get mixed emotions whenever I think about handout type stuff, and when I think about where I came from. A certain time when I'm working 3 jobs, trying to make sure that I have enough money for my family. Like I said, my wife wasn't working. I had a kid. I was working at a Jewish deli. I was working at Walmart, and I was working at Dunkin' Donuts, and I was busting my ass making sure that I could have enough money. But I see other people out there that just aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to make those sacrifices. And my daughter, that same kid that I was raising at that time, my daughter's the same way. She's not willing to make those sacrifices that she needs to move up in life. And so I'm thoroughly against handouts. I think we should help people when they need help, when they actually need help. I know it would take probably an army of people to try to run down whether people actually need help or not. But
Yeah, that's part of the problem. They just have to take their word for it.
yeah, and that's going to be too tough.
You see, that's why I think that not $1,000 a month, but a UBI is a good idea at less money, because when you have welfare, you have the issue of people don't want to make too much money or they'll lose the welfare money. And when you just don't have anything at all, or you do the thing that you said where you just find only the people that actually need help, then either you'd have to actually take way too much time and spend probably an equal amount of money on investigating people and make sure that they're not falsifying their claims, or we just let people starve. And with a UBI, sure, you're paying a lot of money to people, but also you should be paying them enough to live off of. You should be paying them like a crutch so that they can work reasonable hours without having to sacrifice in how much food they buy or just necessities like that. And I don't know how much exactly I would give people. Right? I haven't thought about it that much, but just like enough to, like I said, work as a crutch for people who can't otherwise make a living. But also, if you only give it to the people who can't make a living, then once again it'll discourage making a certain amount of money. So if you then also give it to other people, it'll allow them to, if they at some point like lose their job through unforeseen circumstances, they'll still have that money to fall back on in case they need it. And also, if they have more money to spend, it'll get the economy moving and all that. I don't think we should just give everybody free money. Cause,
Yeah, that's one of the Bernie's things is that he realizes the more money in the economy gets it stirring. I'm like, well, you're doing it the backwards way. Let's give everybody the money. It'll stimulate the economy. No.
Yeah.
Give them the money they made first.
Exactly.
Stimulate the economy.
Yeah. So I had an interesting back and forth with some people that I know personally online the other day about UBI stuff and versus VATs and things like that. There's a guy, I don't know this particular guy, but he lives in Munich, and he was talking about, I've been here for the last 20 years, and my tax rate is about 33% when all is said and done, and I still can reap all the social benefits, things like that. But there's that famous Margaret Thatcher quote: "Is socialism is great until you run out of other people's money." And all of those systems there are beginning to start to feel the weight, and they're going to collapse under their own weight. The smaller Nordic countries are not going to feel it as much because their population doesn't grow as much. They tend to not have children more often than other folks, and when they do, they only have 1 or 2. And but you have countries like Germany that they open their borders to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that
I can't
wanted
believe
to come.
Germany did that.
The Germans couldn't
It's
either.
being very un-Germany.
I think they're still, you've got a little bit of white guilt going on with that one. But you can see the cracks in their system starting to show. It was just a few years ago that they raised it where it used to be that you could just, if you had an insurance card, their social insurance card, you just showed up at the doctor and you gave them your card, you got treated, you went home. And now their waiting times are quite different. It used to be a kind of an in and out occasion. Now, where my house used to be, that it was literally a half a block from one of the doctor's offices, and you would see people lined up outside to get in. And on top of that, they've also started making them pay co-pays when they go.
What?
It's not free and clear anymore. Every time you go to the doctor, you have to pay $5, or is it $10?
I don't know. I barely ever went to the doctor.
It's either $5 or $10 every time you go to the doctor. Doesn't sound like much, but like I said, that's just showing the initial cracks in the weight of their own system. Then there's the level of care that's involved with that, along with the cost per. People make light of how expensive our system is. Yes, it's out of control. There are things that need to be curtailed. The big pharma should not be allowed to jack up prices the way that they do. I agree with all of that. But at the same time, the level of care and the type of facilities that we have here is above and beyond anything I've ever experienced overseas.
Oh yeah.
Even going to the American facilities overseas there's nothing compared. I mean, my stay at the Huntsville Hospital here was night and day compared to staying at a good facility over there in Germany.
What's a typical German facility? What does it look like? Like a hospital room? I mean, what's a typical hospital room look like over there?
Well, it looks more like we had one right in our town. It's looked more like a old apartment building that they converted to a hospital. And when you go inside, even their elevator was like something you'd see in like an old movie about New York or whatever. It had these giant metal doors that were accordion doors.
Mm-hmm.
You had to keep your hands back from it, otherwise you get caught in it. Actually, Luke got his hand caught in it when he was 4 years old.
It's still that way?
It was that way when I was there, and that was as recent. I mean,
It hasn't been that long ago.
yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
They
You
didn't
were
just
4.
change it.
It was like 10 years ago.
Germany didn't just come into a lot
To
of
me,
money.
That's a long time ago. I'm 16. That's like over half my
I'm
life.
16. I'm young. What do you mean? I don't need Viagra.
So they don't have HVAC in their facilities.
What?
No.
Savagery.
Yes, it is.
Savage.
I don't know what that
Third
is.
world ass country.
That's heating and air conditioning.
Oh, that, yeah.
Speaking of stuff that's a right.
So-
That's one of the things that really annoys me about Germany is nobody has air conditioning.
When he was being born, we went to the hospital, and we got there late in the evening. Now, I've been contested on this, but the way I remember it is that we were there, and they kind of told us that the doctor doesn't come in until 7, so they're going to delay her dilation. So they did all of these things to keep her relaxed or whatever so that she would not dilate until the doctor came in the next morning. So they were doing some things where they were putting in these weird baths and things like that. But one of the things that just blew my mind was it was getting really hot in there. It was July, and it was getting hot in the room. I went out to the nurse and I said, "You guys can turn on the AC or get some fans or something?" They said, "I'll just open a window." I was like, "You gotta be kidding." So I go and I open up a window, and no sooner did I go back to my chair, and a bat flew in the room. And I was like, "Are we in the dark ages?" And so there's a bat flying around the room, and I go running out to the nurse, and I say, "There's a goddamn bat in the room." And she comes running in there with a broom and swatting, trying to get this bat out. Yeah.
No.
It was madness.
Und stops us.
That's actually a good German impression.
Oh, yeah. It's all Indiana Jones. I think I mention it every podcast, like the pineapple on psych. I mention it 3 weeks in a row.
I was there for a nose had my deviated septum surgery, and they stick you in a room with. I mean, I had just some 80-year-old dude that I never seen before in my life just sitting there next to me, no curtain, no nothing. There was no TVs in the room, and this was supposedly at a newer facility. Um, and I mean, the food is whatever. I mean, it's hospital food is hospital food. How about that hospital food, huh?
No.
But,
No. It may be late, but you ain't that delirious. It's only
Uh,
9 p.m.
oh, they're huge on, like, you know, here in America, they're quick to give you some damn morphine or, you know, some OxyContin if you stub your toe. Over there, you could have a compound fracture and they're going to give you Motrin.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're real strict about giving any type of pain meds. They'll make you suffer like nobody's business. Like you gotta have stomach cancer to get morphine.
Damn.
Yeah, it's bad news.
There's a middle ground. You don't have to be like us that gets people hooked that got hurt at football practice, but
Right.
there's a middle ground for a fracture.
No, I can obviously only speak for like the one time that I was in the hospital, but like a few years back when I had my appendix removed, I had my appendicitis removed. I mean, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, exactly. I obviously had to take pain medication the next 2 days, and the stuff they gave me, I remember that it was fine, that I wasn't like in too much pain ever. The main thing really was just like parts of my skin would start aching because of the air that gets in during operations.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't like too big of a deal or anything. So I don't know, like maybe that's the way it was when you went to the hospital, but from my experience, they were pretty fine with giving you pain medication.
And what pain medication did you take?
I don't remember. It's been a few years,
It
but
was probably ibuprofen.
maybe. But I wasn't in pain, and I wasn't. Like,
Okay, but my point is that if you are in pain,
I mean,
they're still just going to give you ibuprofen.
I'm
I mean, I'm not saying that I needed, you know, OxyContin or oxycodone for my nose operation, but maybe a little codeine or something, because there was times where I was like, screw this.
Yeah, a little bit.
well, here's the thing. My uncle actually had a thing where they were gonna do an operation on him with a regional. I don't know what they're called.
Regional anesthetic.
Yeah. Slipped my mind for a second there. And he basically pushed to get. Basically, they just gave him opioids, and he was like, you know, blasted out of his mind.
Yeah.
doing it.
That's a horrible feeling too.
Oh, no, he said it was great.
Oh well, some people think it's great. I think it makes you feel like you're
might
sick.
not have been opioids. I just said opioids because that's what they usually give you, so I assumed it was opioids. No, my bad. It was MDMA. Sorry, it was MDMA. That's what they gave him.
MDMA.
Yeah.
Have you tried DMT, bro? I got put on painkillers. What did I do? I've had lower tabs twice. One when I had a tooth pulled, and one when I had my lip cut open.
I hate
And
all
the
that.
second time I got put on them, I ordered a mandolin off Amazon. Came to that. Guess I'm a bluegrass singer now.
I don't know how you get to that.
I had one in the cart. I was like, I'm doing it.
Did I tell you about like? No, of course I didn't tell you. I don't know you. I mean, so
Don't know you, strange man. My house.
Why are you here?
Who let him in?
No, but what I was going to say was, actually, I might not have told Dad about this either. So basically, I had my wisdom teeth removed, and the first time around, I remember, you know, it kind of sucked, obviously, but I didn't think it was too big of a deal. Now, the second time around, I figured out it's going to be fine, like it was the first time. Well, I think that those expectations, because the first time I was nervous, the second time I wasn't really, might have affected how I experienced it, because the second time around, it didn't even hurt too much. But the taste of the anesthetic, it legitimately still to this day, when my mouth goes numb, I just get shivers all over my body just because it reminds me of the way my mouth was numb back then and the way it tasted. And it was horrible. It also kind of hurt, but the pain, like I said, I didn't even mind the pain that much. I could deal with that, but the taste, Yeah, I just had to think of that because you talked about getting a tooth pulled.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like this utter overall misery that you can't describe. Like,
Yeah, it just sucks.
it's probably worse than childbirth, if I had to guess. Probably 10 times worse than childbirth. Like, well, I know when I was driving during my tooth pulled, I came home and went to McDonald's, and the doctor called me and asked how I was doing. I'm driving. You're what? I'm hungry, man. I ain't had to eat all day. You put me under oxygen. Anesthesia.
No, with me, the anesthesia wasn't so strong that it made me swimmy in the head or anything. But actually, it might have been. It might have just been a little bit, and I didn't notice.
They didn't gas you or anything?
Oh no! They did They gave me shots.
Oh.
That's. We might have had different experiences than what I was.
Dude, they put me straight under.
I would have appreciated that.
I saw
because, like,
SpongeBob. Shit you not.
Like, for real?
Yeah, I was high as a kite.
Did they give you the, what's it called? I forget the, do you know what I mean?
Nitrous oxide.
Yeah, nitrous oxide. Yeah, people use that for fun,
When you pull it off, it goes away instantly, but you're like you're just going to experience something really traumatic for about an hour. But like 2 hours later, you can drive. But as soon as my 2 hours, ding ding, I went to McDonald's. Bullshit. I'm hungry. I ain't eat all day.
So you said that you had this subject in the cooker. Was it just that particular?
That was it.
That was it.
The less fortunates and their signs. I tell you what, because my dad said, well, you should just give it to them. That's between them and God. And I'm like, yeah, but eventually you have to be smart. Like, this is probably a scam.
Yeah.
These guys just got back from t-ball practice.
Yeah. Eventually, it's between you and your wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, those people all know where they can go to get help, and I do donate quite regularly to shelters and charities. So I feel that's my version of, handing out to the signs. I do intend to volunteer more. I haven't done it as I'd like, but
I always have this weird feeling of conviction in one way or another, like a gut feeling. If somebody's doing that, I'm like, oh, they're full of shit.
yeah.
And you can tell if somebody's really down. Well, I'll make a way to make it happen. But like, come on, man.
Like even out there on University, over by some of the shopping centers, I've seen guys out there, and I've seen a few people like give them sandwiches and things like that. I remember seeing this one guy. They were like 3 or 4 cars ahead of me. Gave him a sandwich, and the guy that got the sandwich looked dejected.
Yeah. Oh,
He was
wow.
like, a sandwich, bro.
I can't buy crack with sandwiches.
So I don't know.
See, that's the way you got to go with those guys, though. The sign guys, you got to give them something that they can't just go buy crack with.
Yeah.
And that's usually shut them down.
Or if they say that they need money for gas, give them gas. Just offer to give them some of your spare gas from.
Yeah, come pump it out of here.
Yeah.
Pull up.
Yeah, I remember back home one time I told a guy something like that. I said, he gave me the I'm out of gas story, and I said, well, where's your car at? The gas station is just right there. I'll help you push it over there. He's like, no, man, we're down there. And I was like, no, you're not. I came from that way. There ain't no cars down there.
You don't have a car.
You don't have a car. I've offered to, when people said they were hungry, I said, well, there's a store right here. I'll take you in. I'll let you get some stuff. He's like, nah, man, I really just need the money.
You ain't that hungry then, bro.
I guess
Fun
so.
fact, I actually sustain myself off of money. I just eat it.
Money sandwiches. Yeah.
I got wise to that shit in Tuscaloosa. I'd never been around those people before. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
One guy said he needed $20 or he was going to jail for the week. So the sheriff brought it. This guy came to my house, and the sheriff said, "Bring his toothbrush." And he got $20 by the night. He's going to jail. And the night before, he had helped me carry my groceries up from my trip back home, and I gave him you get 2 beers out of every 12-pack you've ever bought, and it had them in the refrigerator. Like, it was just a collection of shitty beers.
Yeah.
Shitty Beer Central. And I gave him gave him a grocery sack full of just shitty beer. Came back like 24 hours later to the clock. Ding! Oh shit! I didn't mean to. Now your dogs are pissed. Anyway, I didn't mean to stir him up. He goes, man, sheriff told me to bring my toothbrush. But I'm like, no, I don't have any cash, man. I had a 30-30 like from here to the window. So he wasn't gonna. He saw it the night before and mentioned it, so he knew it was up. And I said, he goes, well, you ain't got no money. You got any more of them beers? I'm like, this what guy wants. I hooked his ass up. I think I emptied my fridge on him. There, you got them all. Nice collection of Bud Heavy and Michelob's for 3 years worth of college. I would have woken everything in the house up.
That's fine.
Dude got stabbed a few months later.
Like for real?
Yeah. My friend that lived across the street had his radio stolen out of his Jeep. And he went and asked that guy who did it, and the guy said, "Oh no, man." He said, "I went and asked him. The motherfucker said he just had surgery." He said, "That fucker got stabbed." He had looked like a armed Vietnam movie with like napkins stuck. It's like he got stabbed in the gut. I'm bleeding. Oh, I'm bleeding. Yeah, I'll never forget that dude. He had on a Budweiser hat, like the best looking Budweiser hat I've ever seen. That's the only reason I remembered him. Somebody gave his dude a pristine Budweiser hat down at the Mission in between cigarettes. That's nuts.
Very much so.
Now we can talk about you getting robbed in Norfolk.
Oh, wow.
Now we can bypass. Speaking of growing up in the ghetto.
That was a segue.
Yeah. Talk about dude getting stabbed in Tuscaloosa. How about getting robbed in the main streets of Norfolk?
So it was actually it was 3 times.
Yeah.
They were all semi-job related, I guess you'd say. All involved me being at work or on my way from work. The very first time, we were all at work. We were closing down shop. At the end of the night, the manager closes up the safe, puts the profits in a little lock bag, and she's supposed to make a night deposit. And we close down shop, and we're coming out, and this 4-door car just comes hauling ass into the parking lot, squealing tires, everything. 4 guys jump out. They're brandishing guns, telling everybody to get down on the ground. They're coming around, putting guns to everybody's head, taking wallets, taking purses, taking whatever you got on you. And then they jumped back in the car and took off. The word around the campfire was that it was an inside job, but I don't know if that was true or not.
They get the overnight deposit.
Yeah, they got the overnight deposit.
Yeah,
They got my paycheck in my pocket. Yeah, everything was. They got everything. So the night deposit's only made on certain days, so that's why there was rumor it was a inside job. But it could have been randomized. Who knows?
How convenient.
Second time was that same job. That was when I worked at McDonald's, and so I got off work at McDonald's, and I didn't live far, so I would just walk home. And I was walking. I always make sure I walk down the main street, so there's a lot of lights and other cars, potential witnesses, hopefully.
Good Samaritans.
I still remember the car. It was a blue Plymouth Laser, and it comes flying past on my left-hand side. I didn't think much of it, and then I saw it shoot down my street. It took a hard right down my street, and I didn't think anything about it really, because I was literally 3 houses away. I rounded my corner and I see 2 guys coming towards me, and I gave them the standard, "Hey, what's up?" And I split. They walked on both sides of me. I split the 2 guys, and as I passed through them, one guy grabbed me from behind, gun to the head. The other guy said, "Give us all your money." And I said, "Dude," I literally had $8 in my pocket. I said, "I got $8, and I got these cassettes, and I listened to cassettes when I was at work, closing down shop." And I said, "That's all I got on me and my clothes." And they were like, "Well, give me your wallet." And I started reaching for it. Like, no, where's that? And I told them it was in my back pocket. They took it out, took my little sack with all my cassettes and stuff in it.
You never get those cassettes.
And I still remember they said, now run across the main street, and it's not like a highway or anything. It's like maybe maybe like running across University or something like that. They said, run across the highway, and I got out there and there was some cars coming, and I just heard them yell. I said, run. I was like, oh shit. So I just started running the opposite direction, and then I heard them taking off, and they jumped in the car. They finally caught the guys because I was able to get the first 3 letters license plate, and I knew the car model. And in court, there was 2 other guys that they had robbed that same night, and one of the guys said that when
Why is this funny?
when it's still funny to
I'm
me
picturing
now.
the cassettes. My credence.
One of the guys, I guess, didn't run fast enough, and they actually shot at him.
Heel toe, mother.
But they ended up, I guess, putting those guys away. They went to court. I didn't even have to testify. They said that I guess the guys pleaded out or whatever, and there was enough of us that basically told the exact same story. And the third time was when I was working at the aforementioned Dunkin' Donuts, and this was a middle of the day robbery. Because I was working day shift at a Dunkin' Donuts, so there was like nobody in there, nobody around in this shopping center. It was like a Tuesday, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm the only one in the shop, I'm making the donuts, and dude comes strolling in. He's like, hey, where your bathroom at? And I said, over there in the corner. And it's just kind of hard to show on audio, but the way it was configured, that I was walking away from the direction that he was walking, and that happened to also be the entryway into our counter area. And so my back was to him. He come through the counter area, came up behind me, stuck a gun in my back, pushed me over to the register, had me empty out the register, and then jumped over the counter and took off. I was a robbery vet at that point, so
Did you even stutter? All right.
I was like, cool, man. I was like, this is cool. I was like, ain't my money. I don't care. I'm not trying to be G.I. Joe out this camp.
Did you put the bills and facing the same direction? No, man, let me get that for you. I'll never take these out if you don't do it.
Yeah, we didn't have any type of alarm system or security cameras or nothing. So.
Did you just take cash or the coins too?
No, he took all the bills. Took all the bills and boned out.
Got all the pennies. I know you got rolls.
I went out to after he went out the door, and I saw him running around the side of the building. I tried to see which direction he went, but I knew they were going to never catch him. Yeah, that was the 3 times I got held up in good old Norfolk.
I just picture the end game to the guys in the Buick Laser or the Plymouth Laser.
Plymouth Laser.
Like, what do they think they're going to get out of some kid walking down the street?
Yeah, I don't think they just think they saw some dude walking on the street. I don't think they really paid much attention. I was wearing a McDonald's uniform and was 17 years old.
Like, what's your end game? A possible 20? Guys, we might get gas for the laser tonight. we can go to Newport News.
Yeah, we might make it to the ocean front.
We can go down there and get a coney dog. He's never had one.
Yeah.
The mean streets of Norfolk. Every time you start hearing Norfolk, you always hear Newport News.
Yeah, Newport News is across the water.
See, it's a great place for women to live. No, that's Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach.
Like
that's where all the girls like to go. Like growing up, even that's where all the girls wanted to be. They always wanted to be. It was like, oh, well, when I get old, I'm gonna move to Virginia Beach. Like, no, you're not. You're gonna be right here in Norfolk. And sure as shit, they're all still there in Norfolk.
You see that cafe over there, Becky?
Yeah.
You're gonna be right there.
I was oddly surprised. Even the people that I knew were from Virginia Beach, I was oddly surprised of how many of them didn't get away. Virginia Beach is fine, I suppose, but that's not a place I would even say I would like to go back to that place. I used to think that, because that's all I knew. I was trying for a long time to get back to that area, partially because of my daughter, and also, like I said, that's all I knew. I was like, well, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, that's where I want to be. But now that I've been around and I've actually went back to that place a few times and seen cost of living, and I don't ever want to go back there.
Yeah, it's awful there. It's like New York level almost, isn't it?
The cost of living versus the median incomes is way off the charts. It doesn't make any sense the amount that you pay for cost of
Who the
living.
hell's buying that stuff? Always wondered that. Who's making 300 grand to live in that apartment?
I really don't know. There's a huge disparity there. There seems to be no real. I mean, I could be off base on this, and like I said, a lot of my stuff is anecdotal. I don't have any figures to back any of this stuff up. I mean, I do know that the median income is very low compared to the cost of
Oh
living.
yeah, it has to be.
So I think there's part of it is people getting stuck. You know, that's what they're used to. They're used to that cost of living. They know they're going to have to work a little bit longer or a shittier job or whatever the case may be. They might not get the yard and the picket fence and all that crap. Because even what I used to think was middle class, when I go back and look at it now, I think this is middle class. This is like high. This is like upper low class. Seriously, bro.
I think the internet stuff picks up so loud.
It's okay.
So
Yeah, it's sensitive. It's a podcast. It's not like it's a work of art.
like I said, there is a lot of anecdotal stuff, and that's the third time I've used anecdotal for people keeping track at home on
Yeah.
the drinking game. But
This will be the first episode after the World War II guy, the astronomer, and ufologist. So people may be listening to this. We may have 10 or 20 folks, regulars by now.
so I don't know. I've thought about going back and looking at statistics because some of that stuff fascinates me. Even when we travel around, one of the first things I do is look up cost of living and property values. I'm fascinated by that and seeing how locals live. And whenever I go back home and I see that, and I said, why are you still here? Why are you people still here? And I think a lot of it is that people get stuck. I think there's some of them that get Stockholm syndrome. Because there's people that I know personally that are like, oh, I'm never leaving this place. This is the greatest place I've ever been in my life. Like, this is the only place you've been in your life. This is all you know. So I think that they have to say, this is the greatest place, because otherwise they're going to go crazy. There are things to do there. There are things that I still enjoy doing, but those can be done in a weekend.
It's a once a year thing.
Yeah, I mean, I go there to visit my family and stuff, and I go take in a local hockey game. I go take in a local baseball game. Head out to the ocean front, do some stuff out there. I mean, that place just can't. It doesn't support. Like around here, we've got stuff popping open every single day around here, and every time something new opens up back home, it's shut down in no time.
Quick.
They can't support it. They don't have the people and the infrastructure to support that stuff. I really don't know why. Honestly, it's the largest naval base in the world there. NASA's there. They got Langley Air Force Base there. There should be.
It's like a hub of that kind of shit. That whole area.
Exactly. It should be more than it is.
Are there any places up there that are? Are there any Huntsvilles up there?
Um,
Like the nicer, affordable?
I think
Are we just talking about Norfolk or the whole area?
that whole area,
Okay.
the what we call Hampton Roads.
Yeah.
It's the 5 cities. You got Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, Hampton, Newport News. Some people throw in Suffolk, but nobody counts Suffolk for anything. The only thing that's out in Suffolk is Planters Peanuts. Yeah, that's it. Planters Peanuts. That's the only thing in Suffolk.
They got everything there.
Yeah, they do, and they have the Newport News shipbuilding that supports the naval base. They have Norfolk Naval Shipyard, which supports the naval base. Again, they have the Norfolk NAS, the Norfolk Air Station. So the Navy flies out of there as well. The Blue Angels go there. So you would think when you think about that stuff that that would be. I mean, hell, NCIS and what's that other JAG and all those silly.
What's that place? Guantanamo? Quantico. Guantanamo.
Quantico's up north.
Yeah.
That's way up north. But all that stuff is right there, and you would think that there's something more to it, but there just isn't for whatever reason. I really don't understand it. I don't understand the dynamic there.
Maybe they're driving in 2-hour commutes via train.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
That's what I just assume everybody does from New York.
I don't see how they don't.
Everybody drives in from like Pennsylvania
No,
every day.
because the ridiculous density of people in Manhattan. I mean, there's people have to somehow sustain themselves, obviously, because like I said, there's just so many people there that there's no way that they don't.
Somebody's staying somewhere.
Well, in like Manhattan, they're complaining, or New York City, they're complaining about the gentrification of places like Brooklyn, but the problem is not the gentrification of Brooklyn. The problem is them allowing these Chinese real estate moguls to come in and buy up Manhattan, and then jack up all the prices on everybody. So it makes it unaffordable, or if not unaffordable, it makes it artificially inflated to the point where people think that it's they're getting something for their money because the prices are so high. Well, it's expensive, so it must be good.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And so the people who are actually working for a living have to move out of Manhattan, where 15 years ago you could get an apartment in Manhattan. It was still expensive for sure, but you could get an apartment in Manhattan. Now it's impossible.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no way.
It's a damn luxury now.
But what they found is that there's a bunch of Chinese real estate guys that own half that stuff. And they keep the prices up so that it keeps their property values up. It's all artificially inflated.
I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, for sure.
Over here podcasting at 9:30 at night.
Yeah, I felt like half a king for a day because I bought a share of Disney stock today.
Oh, look out. Look out.
A share,
Well,
folks. A share.
We still gotta buy comedy tickets.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to see Sam Tripoli and Eddie Bravo,
Eddie Bravo. Master of the Half Guard.
the Tinfoil Hat Podcast. It's like the best podcast there is. I think it's better than Rogan, pound for pound.
I honestly have not listened to a single episode.
Dude, it comes on and they have different different intros, like half a dozen. But one of them is his kid saying, "Wake up, Aaron! The reptile people are here." And I'll be like 4:30 in the morning running like, "Sweet mother of God, the reptile people! What's that?" There's always an armadillo somewhere, tripping my shit.
So what is it? How many Bigfoot episodes have they had?
Maybe one.
Okay. I figured it'd be a little higher.
No, they obviously have that. There's that. Tinfoil Hat is probably my favorite. Then there's Last Podcast on the Left. They did a Bigfoot, but they will just trash the Patterson Gimlin shit. They'll do these thorough like periodical publication research papers on it, and it's like listening to a bunch of stone dudes talk about a science report they did for their PhD. And it's freaking. Their Jonestown was 5 episodes, about 2 hours long. And you talk about in depth. Shit, I didn't know this. I just thought Jim Jones just said, "Oh, we're crazy. Let's kill each other." No.
Yeah, that's tough.
He starts granular.
Yeah, Jonestown was wild.
God, I'm down there by the river in one of those cul-de-sacs that's down and I'm trying to run hills. I'm hearing about Jonestown. Like, I can get back to my damn house. I got to turn the lights on. I got guns there. They'll never take me alive.
Yeah. Have you seen that one on Netflix, Wild Country? Have you watched that one?
Shit. Have I? No.
About the Oregon sex cult thing that they had?
No, I've seen the one about Humboldt County in California. It's called like Weed Farm.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It's called something farm. It's about how all the people used to grow weed illegally up in the mountains.
Oh.
Murder Mountain. Murder Mountain's what it's called.
Okay.
And once they legalize, everybody's poor now because nobody's buying that dirt ass shit anymore. Everybody wants that George Bush stuff growing in the ground.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I can still walk into smoking this. Get it out.
Yeah, that whole legalization thing probably put a damper on all that twig weed that people were
yeah.
shelling out there.
$20. No. They sell them now. They look like little model rockets out there. You see Rogan singing, "I got this from Mike Tyson." What is that? It looks like a toy baseball bat I got at a Huntsville Stars game in 1992. It's a daggum blunt.
For real?
Yeah, they got like the tips on them like a Black and Mild, but they go out.
Like that. Yeah. Yeah. They have
So it
all
looks
kinds
like a
of weird
damn,
blunts.
looks like a hand roll.
Oh, it looks like. Let me see if I can find some on Instagram. Looking at Instagram, so you have to keep talking when you search. It's the key to podcasting. Learned this from Bill Burr. What in the world was I looking at? Wow. Let's see.
Have you
Blunt.
ever seen like blue or purple weed?
Yeah.
It looks like really cool.
I've never
looks
actually
almost like
seen-
candy. And has
I've never
like
actually seen
twist-
marijuana in person, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking about like pictures of like this balloon people. were,
Look at
like,
that.
crystals.
Holy cow.
Yeah, they look like party favors.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
I don't know how it doesn't fall out.
I don't know.
It looks like bags of seeds you get at those like corporate events.
I
Plant a tree. Like a bag of chia seeds.
well, I mean, it's twirled off on the end. So
What's the Germany stance on the weed?
the German government stance?
Yeah, the whole German government. Is it legal there?
No, it's not legal.
So-
And
It's illegal. You can possess it up to 1 gram without I think it's 1 gram without a fine. Like if they came and searched your car and they found a gram of hash in there, they would. I think I could be speaking out of my ass on this one, but I think you can have up to 1 gram possessed. I think, but it's definitely not like legal.
and the fun thing is that the consumption is not illegal. It's only the possession and selling of it. Wow.
Yeah, so if you get caught high, they're not.
They can't do anything unless
nothing's
they
gonna
prove it was in your
Saved.
possession.
Or I think Ron White said they caught him with a gram of marijuana. He said, "I got a gram of marijuana. I consider myself out of marijuana."
I don't know if they ever passed, but I know the Netherlands was talking about cracking down on foreigners buying it.
What? I mean, half their economy?
Yeah,
Thanks.
that you were going to have to brandish a Dutch ID to be able to buy anything. I don't know if that ever came to fruition. I'm not I'm not a smoker, and I go there for visits, and I to drive my high friends around. But
I was like, who brought that to the table? Guys, you want to kill the economy?
yeah, so
Let's eliminate our main tourist attraction.
I think they were getting pressure from the EU.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
It's like
because there were people, obviously bringing it across with open borders.
Oh, yeah.
And when I first went there, there was no EU. Well, there was EU, but there were still border patrol. So you didn't have to stop every time, but you had to come down to a slow pace, and they would just randomly grab people, especially coming across the Dutch border. But
Hey, Duchess.
now it's wide open. You can still see the overhang where the little booths used to be, little lanes used to be, but they're wide open. They make you slow down to something like 40 miles an hour or something like that.
when
but-
crossing the border.
Yeah, but
What's the point? Like, you better acknowledge that there's a line here.
well, you're going through those terminal tunnel things.
Oh, okay.
And once you pass through them and you get past the border, and then you can speed up again.
They don't mind you bringing terrorists across the border. Just none of that pesky weed.
And that I think the borders now are basically where they send the fuck up cops, because you'll see like one random cop car sitting off to the side with some fat guy reading the paper or something. So I think that's either like you fucked up and they send you there for bad duty or something.
Having a croissant.
Yeah. But the hash bars and stuff those are pretty eye opening. Having you walk in and it's just a menu that looks like a coffee bar or something. stuff called White Widow and all kinds of stuff up there. And then they've got like a case, like a big glass case full of fresh mushrooms.
What?
Yes,
See?
you could. They had dried mushrooms, and then they had little Tupperware containers that you could purchase that were full of fresh mushrooms. And those, I don't know what the stance is as far as taking those across the border. My understanding is that those are as legal as legal. There's nothing they can do about that. That's not regulated or not regulated. Is not the right word.
Smuggle them in on a pizza, they'd never know.
Yeah. Yeah, so some of that stuff was pretty cool. Pretty interesting to see. Even the first time we went to Amsterdam and the boys were walking with me, and Jamie says, "I smell weed." I was like, "How the hell you know what weed smell like?"
I remember that.
So you start still.
Somebody need to do their shirt laundry.
Damn, Luke, did you do clothes this week? Somebody having a party. Somebody need to do shirt laundry.
Yeah, that was.
But even then, when we went to Amsterdam, I remember looking at all the shops and thinking that they looked so cool because they're all like bright with neon lights and stuff. Honestly, that's like the one thing that, looking back, is probably not a great idea because it makes it almost seem like candy. You know, the way that they say that pills look like candy. Or
Yeah, they definitely do.
It's way worse with the way that they have their drug shop set up there. It's bright neon lights and all the packaging is colorful and such. And I think that makes it overly enticing to do it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't do it because when I'm 18, guess what the first thing I'm going to do is?
Well, you can buy drugs now. There's no age limit. What are you talking about when you're 18? You're going to do drugs.
I'm going to go to Amsterdam where it's legal.
No, okay? They sell it to anybody.
I don't want to put.
We sell this, right?
I don't want to put illegal stuff into the podcast.
Told a teenager he can buy drugs now. What's he waiting on? When I turn 18, I want to get one seed of marijuana and look at it.
Specifically with a single seed.
I opened my own hotel.
That's the funny. I'm going to Amsterdam. I'm going to Amsterdam now. You have to be 18 to smoke there?
Yeah, you gotta be.
Yeah, you gotta be 18. You have to be 18 to go into the bars there. But so how about this? So the legal drinking age in Germany is
These laws are so bad.
It's really bad.
The legal drinking age in Germany is for purchasing and drinking is 16.
Beer and wine, like if it's under 10%.
Yeah, you can't buy hard liquor. You can go there and buy beer and wine, but any 16-year-old can walk into a grocery store and buy beer and wine.
And you can get like blackout drunk. That's perfectly fine as long as you're not doing it on vodka. You're fine.
Yeah, it's arbitrary stuff, but. So last year, I'm getting ready to bring Jamie over, and we went back for a visit. Luke wants to have a New Year's party, and he comes to us and says, "Yeah, I want to have a New Year's party with my friends, but we want you guys not to be here."
Oh.
And I'm like, "Well,
Wait.
That's flag number one." So I was like, "All right." We're not going to be far anyway, so I kind of, long story short, we let them have it. So they have this party, and all of their little friends bring over bottles of wine and beer, and their big thing, especially with the teenagers, is they have these things called mixery, which is basically Coke and beer.
Savages.
Yeah, it's...
Savages. What the fuck?
It's a bottle of Coke and beer. And
already together, or like split up? You have to mix it together.
No, it's already it's pre-mixed. It's called mixery.
It's more than just that, but it's basically.
It's basically just Coke and beer.
You gotta remember, they're teenagers, right? They want energy drinks and sweet chemical things.
So that's the most popular thing with kids is these mixeries, and so they brought over some of that, and they brought over some wine and stuff. And one of his little Russian friends, of course, brings over a bottle of vodka. I was not privy to that, but in any case...
You ought to have known if I've been showing up.
So I come, after, the ball drops and New Year's celebrations, yada, yada. Yep,
Yeah.
that's
It's like a damn Red Bull.
That's the can version. Usually they come in bottles.
Cola, ice
Yeah,
blue.
that's it.
Like that.
That's the most popular one there.
The most popular legal drink. Is
So we come home and the house is not on fire, so that was a plus. And
break a single thing.
we get inside the house, and the only people that I see are the three of the friends that are there, and they're doing. I mean, they're obviously heavily intoxicated, and they're doing drunk people things. Trying to wrestle, and one guy's way too loud, and another guy's way too quiet, and just typical, drunk shenanigans. But it was just odd to see a bunch of 16-year-olds in this condition. So I start looking around, and I don't see either one of my kids. And I was like, what is going on here? And their cousin was there too, and he was still around. So the cousin was there, and the three friends were there, and they're all doing their drunk shenanigans and stuff, and then trying to play off being drunk because the parents showed up. And my kids are nowhere to be found. I go back into Jamie's room, and his door is closed. I open up the door. He's laying in his bed, passed out drunk. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
He
And-
fell asleep.
He
So
was passed out. He wasn't just asleep. He was like.
yeah, he was out. And so then I go up to try to find the big one. Same thing. Door closed, lights out. He's in bed. He's not drunk though. He's just laying there in his bed. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to sleep. And I said, trying to sleep? You got 4 drunk friends down in my living room right now. You better get down there and babysit.
Here's the thing, though, right? These people, if they had broken anything, I would have paid for everything, even if it.
That's not the issue. Them breaking stuff wasn't the issue. You don't go to bed and leave drunk people just hanging out in your parents' living room.
It's a recipe for disaster. Theft.
That's a fair point. But
All my points are fair points.
Random hookers showing
I
up.
still think I
Pets'
I
heads
knew
falling
these
off.
people for like years. I would have, not to sound melodramatic, but
That is not a
would-
criteria for letting a drunk person hang. Every drunk friend I've known for years, I would not trust them around anything I own. I don't trust him around here. I've known him for years, for God's sake.
Yeah, growing up in the U.S., it was obviously that would never happen. I mean, just for legality purposes, that wouldn't happen. But I grew up in an area that was like right when I was about 17 years old. I was hanging out with some kids that were selling dope all the time, and so I hung out with them because they were my friends, but whenever I'd stay over at their house or whatever, they'd always have weed runs to go on, and so I'd go with them for that. But it wasn't like I was pretty naive at that point. I was thinking, back alley, stuff you see on TV, back alley handshakes, 3 black dudes with guns, it was like, show me the money first,
Tossing a briefcase.
yeah, that kind of
Tossing a
stuff.
duffel bag.
But I mean, little did I know. I guess I was 16, not 17. But either way, we're driving over to other kid's house and going up to his room, hands you $20, and you're on your way. And I remember one time we pulled up in this one house, and there's like 15 cars in front of this house, and it's like obviously there's a party going on. And we get there, and it rings the doorbell, and the parents answer, or the dad answers the door, and I'm like, oh shit. And my friend was like, it's like, yeah, is Jimmy here, or whoever it was that we were there to see? He's like, yeah, guys, come on in. And he's like, they're all in the kitchen. And I walk in, and as soon as you walk in, I mean, you just get hit with the weed smell. I mean, and I was like, what kind of
Awesome.
time warp bullshit am I in right now? And I was, am I getting?
love that.
I was like, punked wasn't even a thing, and I was already asking if I was getting punked. And we walked back there, and sure as shit, there's 12 kids sitting around a table with a giant bong on the table.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm 16. These are all kids I go to high school with, or junior high school with at the time. Shit, I guess must be screwing up my timeline. Yeah, I was 15 or 16. I remember driving around in Mike's car.
That's just
Had
like-
to have been junior high school. I must have been in ninth grade, because we had junior high school was
What is-
7th to 9th.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, all these kids that I'm going to junior high school with sitting around the table smoking weed, and just kind of blew my mind. That was my first real introduction to, the actual dealings of marijuana.
And the parents didn't care.
Well, they
Or did they not know?
no, they knew. I mean,
I don't know how you wouldn't.
they said they would rather have their kids at home smoking weed than being out on the streets doing whatever.
Oh gosh, that's the worst.
I don't know how those kids ended up turning out, but that was their philosophy. And I had different run-ins and different things. I've been around too many people that were meth heads. I've been around people who were tried to get me to smoke rock before, and just all kinds of weird stuff like
Meth
that.
heads.
So for a long time, I just always associated weed with drugs, period. And so anything having to do with it, I was like, no, I don't want nothing to do with that stuff. Just because I saw the way that everybody was on everything but weed. The only thing was with the weed stuff is like everybody I knew was those stereotypical half-baked type people.
stoners, just,
the stoners, like everything's better on weed. You got to watch this movie on weed. You got to eat this food on weed. You got to, listen to this
weed,
album
man.
on weed. And I couldn't deal with those people either.
It's that subculture.
Yeah,
Everything's got a subculture.
Everything's got a
Especially
subculture.
weed.
yeah.
The worst thing about it is that those people will then also, say stuff like, "Oh, don't worry, man, it's weed. You can't get addicted to weed. It's just weed." Sure, you can get addicted to weed, and sure, weed can ruin your life. Just because it's not physically addicted doesn't mean that you can't get addicted to it.
You gotta do a lot of it.
Just
Apparently.
it gets you. You can get addicted to pretty much anything, especially if it gets you high, and weed gets you high. So you can totally get addicted to that rush without being physically.
Yeah,
addicted to the
you can get
substance.
addicted to the rush, but not to the substance.
Of course, I know that. But
Those are two different things, and that's the
It's like a
that's
habit.
the argument. That's a
Okay.
habitual thing. That's
yeah, but that's the worst part of it. That's what messes people up. Is the habitual part of it.
no, the physical addiction is what messes people up.
Oh,
I'll tell you what, I'd rather-
talk to any ex-addict, and the physical addiction sucks. But the worst part is knowing that all you got to do is take a hit of whatever it is, and you'll feel great, and you won't have to worry about anything. It's not about
That's less than-
having
that's more of a-
fevers,
Yeah, but
shakes,
It's more of an opioid, cocaine kind
Yeah,
of deal.
that's on that kind of
but
stuff.
it's no, it's
You don't hear
it's a-
reformed potheads saying, "Oh gosh,
I've
if
never
I
seen
do it
a-
again, I'll go right down that
a real
hole."
I was
foreign
talking
pothead.
about- Actually, yeah, I can.
You mean a
probably
functioning
send
member
you a
of
video
society?
right now, of somebody saying pretty much that.
And I can send you a video right now of somebody saying that it doesn't work that
Oh
way.
yeah, because it works differently for different people. And if you get addicted to the being buzzed on weed all day, or not buzz, that's the wrong word. You know what I mean? And if you do it every day habitually, then after a while, if you try to stop doing that, you'll be super irritable,
Oh yeah, that's
right? And you will your mind will start drifting to weed more and more
But I
until
s-
you keep thinking about, oh man, I wish I could just smoke weed. Everything's pissing me off. I just smoke weed.
Yeah,
And that's the
I don't know if I
same
buy
way.
that, because I mean,
Exactly.
there's people. I mean, I don't smoke weed, and I don't like the smell of it, and it gives me a headache when I'm around it.
second that. I don't touch
but
this stuff. Up a hope, down with dope.
I don't do drugs. But there's even people like Joe Rogan, for example. I mean, when he does his sober October,
Yeah, he doesn't care.
he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do anything for a month, and then he goes back to it, and it's like a whole new thing for him.
There's two things about that. First off, like I said, everybody reacts to everything differently, but it's the same thing with meth. There's people who can do meth and then be like, this is
Whoa.
for me, and then stop
I
doing
don't know if that exists.
it. Yes, absolutely. There's
The
I mean,
casual meth enjoyer.
well, no, that's not what I said. I said, well, first off, yeah,
The
actually.
functional meth head.
Dude,
Jimmy-
not-
Jimmy
how do
the
you not
functional
do
meth
this?
head.
There's people who go to work high on meth. There's people who do everything high on meth.
Where's Dave Chappelle when you
There's
need him?
plenty of meth heads who work and function on meth. Okay?
If you are a functional meth head and you listen to this, we need you to call in, get in my DMs.
Look,
We need to talk to the function.
it's the same thing with cocaine. There's plenty of rich bankers out there doing
Well,
cocaine,
yeah,
making fat sacks. So cocaine is,
That's different than meth.
of course, it's different than meth, but both of them.
Yeah.
Actually, cocaine will make you less functional because meth, you feel very active all day. Cocaine.
Till your teeth fall out and you're like, fuck. What? My teeth. Start scratching them spiders. Ow!
With cocaine, you just get high out of your mind for a few minutes, and then you have to, take another hit. So you spend most of your time just taking, snorting hits of cocaine, trying to, keep that buzz up. While with meth, you take, a few hits at the beginning of the day, and then you're high for the rest of the day, and you can, go about your business.
I have never heard this in my entire life.
Who did you hear it from? Who did you hear? Where did
Every
you get your
person that I've,
information from?
I was getting ready to wrap this
I
up.
grew up around meth
And he
heads.
said functional meth.
That was like the drug of choice in our area because
Holy
of how
shit.
cheap it was.
Yeah, but you're already starting at the point of people who are already living in the ghetto and looking to not do shit.
So if you don't live in the ghetto, you have a higher tolerance for meth.
No, but look, these people already wouldn't be probably the people who live in the ghetto and then decide to do meth are probably not the kind of people who would contribute anything to anything anyway. Right?
So people in the ghetto are useless. That's what I'm hearing right now.
No, I said people in the ghetto who
Are not going to contribute to
do
society,
meth.
so they might as well do
the
meth.
kinds. No. Look. Okay. Once again, I'm not saying that everybody on meth can function, but this is like.
And not everybody can function on weed, and not everybody can function on alcohol.
Exactly
Not everybody
my
can.
point. Not everybody.
But you can say that about anything.
Some people.
But
That's
I have,
exactly my
but
point.
I,
People function on
I've
meth.
never seen a functional meth.
I have never in my life seen a functional meth head. I've never even heard of a mythological functional meth head. Jimmy, the
It's so-
mythological meth head,
It's so outlandish. I
is
can't.
not working in my building.
No,
Of course not. But
he's not allowed near it.
look, just because you haven't heard of it. doesn't
Jimmy,
mean
the
it doesn't
Jimmy, the
exist.
reformed meth head probably cleans the toilets
Have-
at my building.
Wears a Phoenix
Okay.
outfit. He's got a Phoenix shirt on.
Of course, at the very beginning of meth addiction, you're not going to be able to function because your tolerance is incredibly low, right? So whenever you buzz, you're like,
So we got
It's
to
like
catch
you're-
them in that
Gotta remind
magical,
you.
that magical 1 week window of initial
No.
use.
No, that's when you're not functional. During the initial use, you're so high
much
when
better.
you take meth that you're
Oh,
not
shit.
going to be a functional human being. After a while, you start getting used to it, and it starts normalizing.
I don't know
That's
if
what
that. I don't know if
drugs
that
do.
happens with meth.
So, all right, look, homework.
It works.
Here it is.
Yeah.
This, you send out the bat signal. You find out where these mythological functioning meth heads exist. You find one, and you get them to come and talk to us. Say, hey, look, we got some rocks for you. We'll
I
hook you
can't
up.
find meth heads to actually bring here.
Okay, well that's my point. I have known many a people, one of which was my ex-wife, who were meth heads, and they are not functioning people.
But once again, not everybody reacts that way to meth. You're making these blanket statements like you acknowledge that to other substance people react differently, but to meth, no. It's all meth heads are completely worthless and
Because
They don't
the
do
evidence
anything ever.
shows that
anecdotal evidence.
it's not anecdotal evidence.
The people you knew.
He's just trying to use that anecdote. Don't get a ding. Ding.
I don't know what that means, but
There are plenty of people that I have known. There are plenty of people that have been documented. Hell, all of the 80s Wall Street scene were functioning coke heads. There are many, many people who are functioning
Yeah,
pot heads.
The cokehead thing is like more believable than any of it. Because that's like guys who are like upper management, like a bump off the toilet seat.
I have never ever in my life heard of a story or met a person who is just a casual rock smoker. That is not a thing. You're either all into rock smoking, you're all into meth smoking, or you're not. There's no casual, well, let me just get this rock bump right quick before I go to my
That's just
go to my tech support job.
that's
It don't
just
work that
not
way.
true.
I know one person.
And I'll send you.
I know one case it did.
I'll send you.
That's an exception.
Who? What? I'm confused.
We can't say it.
There's exceptions. There's obviously I believe that there's going to be an exception to the rule, but you're making it sound as if this is a common occurrence, and
It's less common than with weed, but it is still a thing that happens. Not like it's not this unicorn situation.
It's like Ferbs coming out.
it's less common. I would venture to say that it's less common than anything. That
Than
it's
anything.
yes,
Like just literally less common than a steel rod made from ceramic.
yes, there are probably people out there that are less functioning on tacos. There are people out there who there is no way that you are going to tell me that there are people out there that are smoking meth and going to work on a regular job on a regular basis. That might happen one or two times that they are able to go and function after smoking meth. But people who are meth users are not going to be functioning adults.
Okay, so I have. There's this guy, right? And what he does is he tells stories about how he used to be addicted, how he got off of substances. He runs like a website where people can write in if they are having trouble, whatever, that kind of shit, right? This guy, he used to be he was addicted to all kinds of stuff, but his main thing was meth, right? And when he was high on meth, he wasn't like he also talks about people who were able to function, but he himself, while he wasn't fully functional, right? He would still like go to college and stuff and do college. He would kind of suck at it. He'd kind of like miss classes or be late to classes, but it wouldn't be to the point where he was just completely non-functional, couldn't ever get anything done either.
Okay, well then I guess your idea of functioning and my idea of functioning are two
And
different things.
He like I said, he talks about people who used to do everything on meth, and just kind of that's the way they lived, and they were perfectly.
The expression functioning means that you continue to perform the things that you were performing
And
prior.
these people were. He, like I said, he wasn't, but he knew people who did.
I'm calling shenanigans.
Okay,
That's-
I'll send you.
I can't breathe.
I'll send you some
I'm
links.
thinking of his function. I'm thinking it's Tyrone Biggums clocking in for the day. Morning, Alice.
Oh, hello, teacher bitch.
I know meth heads.
So, do you think
Or
that,
knew them, they're dead now. They don't last long. They age like milk.
So do you think that that say Molly addicts can function?
Molly?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So what's the difference?
One's Molly, one's crystal meth.
Okay,
Molly
people
addicts
who
don't-
try both have reported them to be obviously different types of highs, but at about the same level of highness.
Well, Molly addicts don't do it like all the time. They do it like
Oh, yes.
for like an occasion
No, then they're not addicts.
before going to the
anymore.
club.
Then they're just casual users, and they're not addicts. There is people who pop Molly every day who start taking more and more Molly every day because they start losing grip of how much they're taking, and because they, heroin addict style, chasing the dragon of that first Molly high. Because
I don't
Molly
have any,
really does get you that. Molly gets you way higher than heroin, actually.
I don't know anything about Molly. I know that Miley Cyrus sung about it once, and that was about it.
So
I know about meth. I'm from Jackson County, Alabama. I could write a book.
So my point is, if you think that a Molly addict could function, why not a meth addict?
It's like pouring water in your motor and driving to work.
That doesn't. No, look, see, that analogy makes no
It
sense.
destroys you.
But-
It tears you to pieces.
Oh, of course it does. I
There-
never said it didn't.
There's no functioning on that.
But you just kind of say that, you know, like.
Because I've been around it. I've seen it.
But you admit that people react differently to substances, but for some reason it's impossible that people react differently to meth than the people that you've been around.
I don't know.
Sure, guy. YouTube guy's right.
Alright,
I'm wrong.
How about this? I'll send you things. I don't know what exactly.
You'll send me a
I'm gonna
YouTube
send you
video
some articles.
of a guy giving
I'm gonna
his
find some.
anecdotal evidence of a
But
functioning
here's
meth
the
head.
thing. If there is functioning, that's the point though. It's not that all of them are functioning. It's that some of them are functioning. But then, I believe you that the functioning, that the people that you met that were meth heads weren't functioning. But I didn't say all of them are functioning. You're saying all of them are not functioning.
I'm
Therefore-
saying a vast majority of.
I don't know what level of meth head you'd have to be considered functioning.
Well, using it like every day would constitute a method. To me.
Like if you're addicted,
Yeah,
if
and
you're addicted to
using
meth,
meth every day,
It's
then
not-
I will contend that you are not a functioning adult.
All right. Well, I'll find some.
you're probably
I'll find what I
incarcerated
find.
at some point. Because, man, they do that. They do the stuff that like they bust out walls with their sledgehammers and like
Yeah.
paint their cars with house paint, tear all their hair out.
Mm.
I'm just picturing that family with that kid on Breaking Bad where he kills that lady, that dude with that ATM machine.
Yeah.
That house, that's a meth head there.
Yeah, but
Might be functioning selling meth.
Yeah.
What about that guy on Breaking Bad where he said, "I bet I can get him outside," and he goes outside and starts digging. And the guy said, "What are you digging for?" "I don't know, man." And the guy takes his shovel,
Yeah.
and he was able to go inside, and that guy with the double barrel.
That's them, man.
let's see,
They're whacked out.
that's a television show.
That's
don't get me
based on
wrong.
real shit.
Yeah, those are some
Very-
pretty accurate depictions
Hey.
of those.
It hit way close to home. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think that people break into houses at night? It's not. Nobody breaks into a house at night thinking they're gonna do any with a plan. It's always a meth head or a crackhead. Because anybody with sense, a common criminal knows they're gonna get popped. They break into a house at night. A crackhead says, "I'm going to this house because they got a TV. I see a chair. It's worth $5. I'll steal that cat."
Come here, cat.
Oh God! I'm sorry.
He just spit water.
My hand jerked
I
off
got
all the
him.
time was here.
Got him with the cat joke.
That was so good.
The meth head stealing the cat. Got him. He
want
threw his
that
water over Randy. Oh my God. I think we're going to wrap up. I'll be here all night, and I thought I was going to study some before I went to bed, but I may not. So I will cut this thing off right now before somebody mentions functioning meth heads. Thanks, Jamie.
Sorry for derailing the
No,
conversation.
derail. Oh my God. Thanks, Jamie, and thanks, Randy.
I'm Luke.
You're Luke.
I'm Luke.
Yeah, that one's Luke.
Are you? Oh yeah, the little one's Jamie. Shit.
Suck my
Dude.
magnum fungus.
Dude, they all look. All those Germans look alike, though, for real.
That's racist. I'm suing.
Yeah, it is.
Master racist.
Master
Hey.
in Augusta, Georgia, the master racist. All right, we'll podcast for food. Peace.